to do that. And I'll tell you why. What they want to do is they want to go to whoever the high bid, usually it's actually not the high bidder, it's the second highest bidder. And right now they're bidding it up extremely high. The minimum we'd see on a bid on $125,000 would be about $94,000. They'll go in the last 4 or 5 days because we know it's going to go up even higher than that. It's probably going to hit at least $100 grand on a $125,000 house, even if it's going to take $15,000, $20,000 to get the thing up to shape. No kidding. People are just being stupid right now on what they're paying for foreclosures. Okay. 94 grand. They go to this bidder. These deed flippers walk up, say, hey, how you doing? I own the deed to this property. Do you understand how deeds work? You can. If you were to own this deed, you could redeem this deed right now for $75,000. We will sell to you for $15,000. That means you've got $15,000 in it to us and $75,000 to the bank and whoever else needs to be paid off. $90,000. Follow me. You've saved $4,000 now. We got 5 days left in the bid. You probably saved another $6,000. You just saved $10,000 buying this property because you're going to get it for cheaper than you would have paid for it. They go for it. They buy it. And these guys don't, by the way, the investors don't have the time to do that. And I'll get into that in a second to find this stuff. Okay. So now they've made $10,000 on deed flipping. They never purchased the property. Understand that. They purchased the right as a deed holder to purchase and redeem the property. Big difference. If some of you guys are in stocks, it's an option or very similar to an option. All right, but it's completely legal. Just like it is in stocks. All right, now the big question I had for these guys when I first met with them was, that's fine and dandy, but what if nobody shows up to bid on the property? And that's where we go back to where we were a minute ago. What'll happen is the bank will either put it on the market and sell it, and people are stupid right now. They'll see the word foreclosure and they'll pay an insane amount of money for that property, okay? Or they'll sell it to a holding company for at least 80% of value, because the holding company can also turn it around and sell it. Or there's a lot of specialty firms right now that are helping people out. Anyway, they'll sell it to them. Bank's not allowed to keep the profit. This is why it's a 6-month payout, guys. We're very conservative. We want to do worst case. Bank's not allowed to keep the profit on the property. Think about that. They just sold it for $100 grand. It's worth $125,000. My guys own the deed. Now they already paid $5 grand for the deed. Okay? There was $75 owed on it. Now let's say another $5,000 was incurred in debt for attorneys and so forth in selling the property. And bank, by the way, has to pay realtor fees and all that, not whoever is deed holder. Okay. They just sold it for $100,000. Deed holders, deed flippers have $5 grand into it. There's 75, let's say 80 owed now. Okay, there's $15,000 in there. There's actually 20 because the clerk doesn't know about. There's $80,000 owed. Attorney's fees and what was extra attorney's fees and what was owed. The bank is going to take $20,000 and give it to the clerk of the court for that county and say, hey, we're not allowed to keep profit. That's yours. Find the deed holder and give it to him. Clerk puts it into the account, forgets about it. My guys walk in, say, hey, how you doing? You're holding something that belongs to me. It's $20,000. Now, in reality, they've already paid $5 for the deed. Clerk's going to cut them a check for $20. They're still going to end up at a $10,000 profit. But that's why we need the 6 months, because it will take time. Now, stuff does sell extremely fast when it hits the market as a foreclosure, but still, it's going to take a little bit of time, and that's why we need the 6 months. It's 25% return. You were $10.99 at the end of the year. You have my company account and name that you throw it into. The clock starts ticking when the money hits the account. We've had somebody actually send us a fake certified bank check. I don't know what they were trying to accomplish. I mean, certainly in 6 months we're going to find out that it bounced. It's collateralized on a note. It's also collateralized against further commissions from me. The reason I'm calling you, or rather putting this together and talking to you right now instead of these guys, is simple. They don't want to deal with you. They don't want you calling them every month as a nervous Nelly finding out, you know, how's everything doing. They want to have them, I am their gatekeeper. They talk to me. You guys talk to me. I talk to them. They've never been late. It's a father-son team. I have 3 kids. I've been doing this since '93. I have a large team. I have way too much to lose. To put any baloney together here, I trust these guys. I trust these guys intrinsically. I also have a small ownership percentage in a number of the properties that they personally have purchased, and as a result, I've got a way to get to them as well. Okay, minimum $10,000 is the investment. Right now we need 120 grand right now. That's what we can place, 24 deed buys by the end of June. Now here's what happens, guys. If it isn't placed, it goes away. We have a very tight, I cannot tell you exactly when they record that deed, but there's very tight time periods that we have to follow or else it won't work. Not a big deal, but just letting you know, if it's not in by the end of June, next deed flip probably September. And that's going to depend, because if we get the second hit of foreclosures, these guys have been known to just stop for 6-9 months at a time and not take one. If we get the second hit of foreclosures hitting the market, they will pull back because there'll be too much competition and not enough investors to swallow the deal. So that they will pull back on that. What I'm saying is, it'd be great if we could get up with you by the end of June. Otherwise, that's fine. We'll take your name and number, get back to you at a future date. Now, $10,000 minimum. It's $5,000 increments, $10,000 minimum, and when we sign a note, it's to one person. So if there's 8 of you getting together to come up with $10,000, that's fine. But we're going to sign a note to one of you. You guys can have your own separate agreement between yourself. What we're not going to do is send out 1,000 1099s to people that are putting in $1,200. Okay? All right. We're extremely conservative. We only do this when all the stars align. That is, I know that I've got enough commission coming in over the next few months to cover that we can bank to cover any problem with that. In addition, it's when they have things lined up. Now, the last thing I want to tell you, if you're thinking, I'm going to go take an equity loan out, $30,000 on my house, and give it to Sean, and have him do this deal for me, and I'm going to make $7,500 on this in 6 months. Don't do it. If you don't have cash, please don't use this program. Don't go get a loan on this. And the reason I say that is if you're in the tail end of this, if we've made 20 out of the 24 deed purchases and they haven't identified any more deeds to buy, and there's 4 left and those 4 go south, they either get a family member to pay them up, whatever, before these guys can buy the deed, and it's $20,000, and let's say you gave us 20 for that. You gave us that check, they could come back to me within 7 days, and we can pay you that 20 grand back. Now, it doesn't go the other way. You got to wait 6 months, because we got to know what we can buy. But you could be handed that check back. So if you've taken a loan out, you just really don't want to go there, guys. Okay, don't do that. Also, your return isn't what it needs to be. The biggest frequently asked question that I get is, well, why don't I just buy foreclosure? Well, guys, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. I am predicting in the next 6 months, you have to understand that less than 50% of the workouts that banks make with people in the subprime situation, less than 50% stick. Now in December, we had a huge workout happen. The government said, you know what, we're going to go ahead and handle all this for you. We're going to make sure that the banks are being good to you. We're going to get your rate lowered. We're going to get maybe and the banks did this on their own actually. We're going to get a lot of what's past due put at the end of the loan. They made deals with people. The problem is with the unemployment rate where it is, less than 50% of workouts work, so a lot of those are going to re-hit. Now that's why actually we bought in December. These guys bought like crazy in December. And the reason they did is simple. A lot of the foreclosures that were about to hit disappeared because banks did workouts. There was also, if you remember, Fannie Mae and Freddie Mac, there was a moratorium on foreclosures. It just stopped. So anything these guys had in the pipeline was guaranteed to sell real quick. I mean, real quick, because there was a whole lot less to work with. Excuse me. We're going to see another little mini tsunami come. I'm predicting in about 3 months. That's why they're working their tails off right now. It's 16-hour days, guys. I get calls from them all over the state of North Carolina. Obviously, I get paid well for it. They work so hard. I haven't seen anything like this before. But call me with any questions. I'm at 704-791-9398. You can also call toll-free and leave a message, and I'll get back to you. It's 888-431-0332. My name is Sean Bougie, and I'm a realtor in Charlotte, North Carolina, and a broker. Thanks for taking the time to look at it. Call me with questions.